Hey guys, it's Kene, my review for I'm Your Woman. So what I'm Your Woman is essentially about is we center on the character of Jean, and she is your typical housewife. She is, in the 50s, and she's a little bit dissatisfied with how her life is going, but one day her husband Eddie shows up with two surprises. One, he gives her this baby that she doesn't know where it came from, but two, he ends up just going missing, and she's awakened one night by one of his business partners who basically tells her to go on the run. So now she is on the run trying to figure out what he could have done, but also starts to dive a bit deeper into who her husband actually is and if she wants to continue living this life. So I'm Your Woman overall, I was really excited for this film. I mean, just looking at the cast here, this definitely seemed like a film that could have been something very special. Anything that Amazon puts out these days, I get very excited for. Rachel Brosnahan and things like that is an actress that I definitely have taken an interest in, for sure. So I was really hoping this film could be something really good. And I will say, I'm Your Woman is definitely a very fresh take on what is a very familiar genre, and I really do appreciate it. Though I do wish that it could have been a little bit better overall, I do still think this is a pretty good film and definitely does a lot of things right. But we're just getting to right now, starting off with the cast. And I think going in this film, that's definitely one of the biggest draws for sure, especially when it comes to our main actress here in Rachel Brosnahan, who plays the character of Jean, and I thought she was incredible here, as she always is. But what I really love about Rachel Brosnahan in this film is that this is a very different kind of performance from her. When we watch Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, that character is very upbeat, she's very happy, and yes, she does have moments where she breaks down, but most of it, we are laughing at her. Jean is not like that. Jean is very sarcastic. Jean is very subdued. She's very to herself, and she's also very dissatisfied with who she is as a character. So there's a lot more required out of Brosnahan than just, really selling on her charisma, but she really does go for it here, and it is such an impressive performance. Jean as a character goes through such a visceral transformation in this film, and I really liked the way that Brosnahan ended up going about that. I really liked what she ended up doing here. I thought she far and away was the best element of this film, and really just continues to show how talented of an actress she really is. And moving forward, I think if Rachel Brosnahan is in your movie, you're at least going to get a really strong performance out of her, and she definitely is the glue that really holds this film together overall. I loved what she ended up doing here. But the rest of the cast also, I think, is really great here for sure. I was especially taken by Arinzé, who I'm not that familiar with, but he plays this character, Cal, who really takes Jean under her wing. He's like kind of starts off as like her bodyguard in a sense, but very quickly becomes like her right-hand man in that way. And I really liked the bond that these two ended up sharing. I thought he did a really good job in this film. I thought that he was a lot of fun, but he also wasn't afraid to dive a little bit deeper emotionally into this character, and I really liked what he ended up doing here. I thought his character was I thought he was just a lot of fun in this film. I really liked his performance. Marsha Stephanie Blake, I thought, also did a really good job. It takes a little while for her to show up, but I definitely really did like her performance in this film. And Bill Heck, for what he has as well, I think is also really good here. Just overall, I think this is a very strong ensemble for sure. But now let's get to the directing and the writing here, because that is the other thing that definitely really does stick out to me about this film. Julia Hart's directing here, I think, is really well done in this film. It feels very confident, it feels very assured, but it's also clear what she was really trying to do with this movie. She's trying to breathe new life into the mobster genre, which is very hard to do because there have been so many mobster films, but it's clear from the beginning she's trying to approach this in a different angle, and I really did appreciate that about her directing in this film. The film feels very slick, it feels very riveting, and you're on the edge of your seat at many key moments throughout this movie. I found myself I never really wasn't invested in this film, and it mainly is because of Hart's directing here. I think she just did a really good job at directing this movie, and I haven't seen really anything from her. I heard that Fast Color was really great last year, but unfortunately I was never able to give it a watch, as well as I've heard good things about Miss Stevens as well and other films that she's done. She did do Stargirl earlier this year, which I wasn't that impressed by, but I thought her directing here was really great, and I really did like the way she ended up directing this film. But the writing here is also something that I think is really interesting, because this very much is a character study of sorts, but it also is a mystery film, and I think the way that they're able to take the typical mobster film but put it in the perspective of the wife that is unaware of all of this and suddenly is thrown into this situation, that's very fascinating to me. I really like that idea a lot, and I think that premise works really well in this movie, because you're constantly on edge, just like Jean. You don't know what's really going on. You don't know why all of this is happening at once, but you also don't know why Eddie was, so closed off to her when it came to this stuff. Why is she just realizing this now? And I think all of that is very interesting. But Jean as a character is also someone that we very much grow to, I think right away grow sort of an attachment towards, because the film starts off and she really talks about how dissatisfied she is with life and how she wants a lot more from what she has. She's not really cooking a lot. She doesn't have a child, and now she suddenly does. And you realize a lot of this film is kind of a coming of age story in that way. It's her getting to finally choose what path she wants to take in life. And I really did like seeing that. The idea that her entire life can change, and this kind of makes her, decide, what path she really wants to take in life, I think is a really good arc for that character. And I really did like the way all of that was handled when it came to Jean. I found myself really latching onto her as a result, and I think that she is a very, very solid character. And where she ends up going in the film as well, yes, it's predictable where she ends up going, but it's a really good arc for this character, because there is a clear, there is a clear transformation for her character. There's a clear journey that her character really does go on, and I really did like getting to see that. There's a lot of things she gets to do in this film that she didn't really. She gets to grow, she starts to have a little bit more independence of herself, because she hasn't really had that. She's had a husband that is very typical with what he wants. She's been very restricted to the life that she has, and suddenly she doesn't have to do that anymore. And I think the film takes a very good approach in what would happen if you were suddenly in that situation. And I think the film is really good in that way. But we also get into how much she's wanted a child, and now she finally does have one in the form of this baby, and what does she really want to do with this baby? So it's her slowly gaining agency and opportunities to things that she just didn't really have, and I found that to be a very interesting journey for her character. But the way they also still are able to implement a sense of intrigue and this mystery throughout. The film does still feel like a mobster film in that way, because you have that element throughout the entire film. There are many moments where Jean is just suddenly ambushed by these guys, and you don't know what's going on, and they're following her, and she's gaining all this information. And I think all of that is very well told, and it's a really well done screenplay. The dialogue especially, I think, is really well done, and I really did enjoy the screenplay in this film overall. The cinematography here also is just drop dead gorgeous. I mean, the 70s setting is really well handled, but every shot is just really well done. You really do, I think, get the clearest picture possible here, and I think the cinematography was just really well filmed here. The score as well, I definitely really did enjoy in this film. It's very minimal, but it still is very effective, and I really did enjoy it quite a bit. And the editing, the film is about 2 hours long, and this is where we get to one of my issues. I do think it could have been a little bit longer. I do. I think that there were some things that they need to dive into a little bit more, and I think it would have made the film that much better. What brings down this film for me, I would say, is really just the second half of it all, because the first 30 to 40 minutes, I was locked in. I was absolutely loving it. I was ready to say this is like one of my favorite films of the year. And then it takes a bit of a turn. We start to dive more into Cal's character, and once we get to that point, it's still good. It just started to lose me a bit, and it's mainly because it feels like these are characters that should have entered the story a little bit earlier than they did, because the film very quickly becomes about that side of things, you know, about trying to find out more of how Cal is connected to all this, and that stuff is interesting, but it's mainly towards Marsha Stephanie Blake's character, the character of Terry, who is Cal's wife. There is a lot of information that is presented with her in the last 40 minutes of this film, and all of it is very well done. All of it is very effective. I just feel like it all is presented to you far too quickly, and I understand the film wants you to be at the speed of Jean, where you're just like realizing all this at once and you're really taken aback by it, and I understand that, but I just wish the film would take a little bit of time to kind of pause and really soak in these revelations, so when we get to the ending, which is really well done, the third act of the third act of this film is just so bombastic and crazy, and I loved every second of it. I think they really could have made those revelations feel that much more satisfying overall. The ending of this film is truly great, and I love the way it ended, but I just felt that there were some things we just need a little bit more time spent on. The film takes a long time in getting to these revelations, when I feel like this should have happened a bit more gradually throughout the film. Some of the things we found out, again, it's all just happening at once, and it just feels a little bit overwhelming and was starting to just kind of lose me a bit. And I also felt the relation between Terry and Jean could have been a bit more implemented. We focus a lot on Jean and Cal, but once Terry enters the story, I wish we could have done more, you know, going on with that dynamic overall, because they're in very similar situations as characters, and I wish they could have done more there. And I will say, I think the one problem with the movie I do have, though, is just Jean is the only character that felt the most fleshed out. It felt like everyone else, while they had things, they just needed a bit more time to really dive into it. You know, it felt like they just fell a bit short in terms of characters, and I needed more time spent with them, and I think that would have made the film that much better overall. I also did feel the first 15 minutes of this film definitely did feel quite rushed. It takes a very short amount of time for the actual you know, for the actual plot to occur, where she needs to go on the run. It happens very early on in the film, and I wish they could have taken a bit more time there. But other than that, I think this is a very effective film. I think the way it's able to take a story that we have seen done before and really deconstruct it, I think is really well done. I think the character of Jean is a very likable character. Rachel Brosnahan just continues to show just how much of a star she really is, and how well she does with these kind of characters. It's a far more subdued role, but she really does kill it. There's some gorgeous cinematography, a really good story overall, some fantastic directing from Julia Hart, and it's definitely a film that, though I do think it falls a bit short in some areas, I think it's still very much worth checking out for sure. I think this is a film that a lot of people are definitely going to enjoy. So I am going to give I'm Your Woman overall a B-. Other than that, guys, in my review of I'm Your Woman, let me know if you guys saw this movie, all of your thoughts in it. Definitely be on the lookout, guys, because I have a lot of movie reviews coming your way. We're nearing the end of 2020, so look forward to a lot of stuff coming this week for sure. I got a Christmas catch-up review, I got a regular catch-up review plan, all kinds of crazy stuff going on within the next few days, so look forward to that for sure. We'll see you guys in my next video, and we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.